Welcome to Asian American Life. I'm Ernabelle DeMillo. Today, we're kicking off Women's History Month with empowering stories of Asian Americans who are changing the world. We'll take a look at how these women are inspiring future generations with their leadership.
And the Emmy goes to Ali Wong.
Asian American women truly showed up this last year, garnering attention for their breakthroughs in entertainment, government, and sports.
96.3, Tor's getting in the ring. Chloe Kim takes over first place.
These incredible, badass women are making their mark on history. From Hollywood to the judicial bench, Asian American women have made some serious strides this past year. Michelle Yeoh was the first Chinese Malaysian to win Best Actress at the Oscars.
You go, girl. Get what's yours.
Greta Lee and Celine Song won accolades for past lives, including 2 Oscar nominations for Best Picture and Best Screenplay.
There's a word in Korean, 인연. It means providence or fate.
Olivia Rodrigo showed some guts. Her sophomore album was nominated for 6 Grammys.
But I am my father's daughter, so maybe I could fix it.
Eileen Gu continued her winning ways, taking gold in the X Games. Nikki Haley, the former ambassador and governor of South Carolina, was the last candidate standing against Donald Trump in the Republican primary. Meanwhile, Susan Oki Malway became the first Asian American woman to serve on the federal bench. Let's hear it for the women, and we've got more. Patsy Mink, the first woman of color in Congress, gets her own coin. Hope against hate and the fight for social justice. Healing Hearts, Yellow Chair Collective addresses mental health. Think Chinatown transforms community through art. And we sit down with Lily Fan, who's making history at the New York Liquor Authority. This and more on Asian American Life.
I'm Kyung-Yoon. In 2022, the U.S. Mint launched the American Woman Quarters Project, celebrating the contributions of women leaders from various fields. This year, one of the women being honored is Patsy Mink, the first woman of color and the first Asian American woman to serve in Congress.
No matter how excluded they have been in the past, the individual does count, and we can make an impact.
Throughout her life, Congresswoman Patsy Mink challenged injustice and fought for gender and racial equality.
She was extremely strong and extremely committed to what it is that she was fighting for or defending, but she was also, in her heart, very soft and kind and generous.
Wendy Mink is Patsy Mink's daughter and biographer, and herself a scholar of political and gender studies. She says her mother, who passed away in 2002, leaves a lasting legacy of righting wrongs and breaking down barriers.
She's somebody who doesn't give up, somebody who, once she decides that a given goal needs to be accomplished, she'll press forward against all odds.
Patsy Takemoto was a third-generation Japanese American born in Hawaii in 1927. She graduated as president and valedictorian of her Maui high school class and went on to study chemistry and zoology at the University of Hawaii with dreams of becoming a medical doctor. But after being rejected by every medical school she applied to because she was a woman, she decided to try for law school instead and got into the University of Chicago. While in law school, she met and married John Mink, but after graduation, no law firm would hire her because she was a woman, an Asian American, and in an interracial marriage. Mink's daughter says all these experiences sharpened her mother's commitment to fight for changes that would open doors for others.
All of these little hurdles along the way to becoming a fully functioning adult in her life were all, I think, pieces of influence in helping to make her stronger and more intent on making the changes necessary for people like her and people coming behind her to have a chance.
To change policies, she decided to go into politics, and in 1962, a 35-year-old Patsy Mink was elected a state senator in Hawaii. 2 years later, she won a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives, where she used her position to be a voice for women.
We do have a national responsibility to speak for the women in the country, and so I have assumed that role.
Mink is best known for her work in championing the passage of Title IX, the landmark legislation that ended gender discrimination by federally funded schools, making it possible for girls to participate in school sports and more broadly in education at the same level as boys and men.
Title IX was something that we looked to as a thing to celebrate, right? It was sort of probably one of the most glorious accomplishments of the women's rights revolution of the late 1960s and early 1970s, but it's not self-enforcing, it's not automatically self-preserving, it requires people on the ground using it, and it requires people in politics to defend it. And so, yeah, the lesson of vigilance and no victory is the end of the story.
The 2024 Patsy Mink Quarter shows the late Congresswoman standing in front of the U.S. Capitol holding the Title IX legislation with the words on the bottom, "Equal Opportunity in Education." Mink's daughter says she doesn't plan to spend her mom's quarters.
It would seem kind of weird to like hold my mother's face in my hand and use it to barter for eggs or something at the grocery store. So yeah, no, I don't see using the quarter, but I certainly do see enjoying seeing the quarter.
And Patsy Mink is the second Asian American to be featured in the American Women Quarters Project. The first was the legendary Chinese American actor Anna May Wong. I'm Kyung-Yoon for Asian American Life.
We are celebrating Women's History Month with a story of a lifelong advocate who's been leading the Asian American Federation for the last decade, Joanna Yu. And she has some sobering news for us. She says that 4 years after the pandemic, the challenges of COVID still linger for the Asian American community.
People think anti-Asian hate is over, and people have said to me, non-Asians have said to me, aren't you glad anti-Asian is over? And my response is, what the hell are you talking about? I wish somebody would tell that to my community.
Joanna Yu is mad. For the last decade, she's been the executive director of the Asian American Federation, an advocacy organization working with 70 member agencies in New York State. She says 4 years after the pandemic, reports of anti-Asian hate has not gone down. And since the war in Gaza, reports of bias against the South Asian Muslim community has gone up.
Has anti-Asian hate stopped? And the answer is no. And I will tell you,
Decreased or increased?
Has not decreased.
From March 2020 to March 2022, Stop AAPI Hate received more than 1,500 reports of bias in New York City. More than half of the incidents happened in public spaces to folks like Noel Quintanilla, a Filipino American who was slashed in the face while riding the L train on his way to work in February 2021.
I called for help, but nobody came for help. There were a lot of New Yorkers there, and I never knew that nobody would help me in this kind of instance.
But what angered me more than anything was the fact that nobody helped Noel.
Then, a month later, more tragic news. In Atlanta, a white gunman killed 8 people, including 6 Asian American women. Then Yu experienced bias herself in her own neighborhood in Brooklyn.
The fact that I have access to City Hall, to the governor's office, to the attorney general's office. None of that can save you when people see you.
So much of what happens underground is the fact that people don't look out for each other.
Yu's visibility has grown since being at the forefront of anti-Asian hate. In 2023, she made the City and State New York Nonprofit Power 100 list. Today, the Federation's Hope Against Hate campaign has expanded to cover the rising hate against Muslim Americans and ensuring Asian New Yorkers can get access to mental health services in their language to deal with the long-lasting trauma of bias.
The ultimate stakeholder in all of this work that we're doing, it's our community. It's people who look like us, not just the people who are here now, but the people who are going to be coming.
I'm Rainer Ramirez.
Research finds Asian American women often suffer from depression in silence, fearing the cultural stigma surrounding mental health. A collective of Asian American therapists is working to change that by incorporating cultural understanding in mental health care for the AAPI community.
As Asian Americans all the time, what is surrounding us, our environmental things are always seems to not exactly fit into what my identity, my internal being is saying.
Taking cultural identity into account is at the core of the Yellow Chair Collective's work, where Asian American therapists treat Asian American clients.
Having an Asian American therapist as an Asian American can be really important because when people are coming in, oftentimes there's a lot of cultural and historical barriers that are playing into people's current trauma issues. And they don't really recognize that until you're sat with another person that truly understands that identity and that historical element.
Historical elements that impact identity.
Asian Americans have had to go through acculturations, which meant that they're abandoning a part of their history and identity. And so that looked like they're coming to America and being told that they have to get a new name because your name is too hard to pronounce. That's a way where identity is being hidden.
And for second-generation Asian Americans, the impact of those experiences is passed on through intergenerational trauma.
It's the trauma of our previous generations that is being passed down over and over again to the next and future generations. And so, for example, a lot of war and displacement has happened in a lot of the Asian countries. And so that has placed a lot of traumatic experiences and behaviors and beliefs around the world for the previous generations.
Therapist Linda Yoon created the Yellow Chair Collective to culturally connect Asian Americans with therapy, but also to destigmatize mental health care in the Asian community.
Growing up in an immigrant household, mental health was rarely talked about. And I remember thinking, this is just not okay. There must be some kind of help.
Women will often say, I've been thinking about speaking to someone for months or years, but they delay in getting help because there's shame, there's stigma around it.
Notions put to ease by familiarity.
I have a lot of clients who come to me and say, you're the first Asian American therapist that I've ever seen. And it is really great to have someone kind of understand what I've been going through.
And those cultural values and expectations play a profound role in Asian American women's mental health.
One of the most common experiences for Asian American women is this feeling that they have to do it all. They have to be caretakers for their parents. They have to be the therapist for their siblings. They have to be the fun, happy person in the friend group, right? They have to wear all these hats. And they find that there's not a lot of space for them to be who they are authentically.
You always want to do what's better for other people. But sometimes people don't realize that when you do something better for you, you're actually helping others.
Historically, Asian American women were told to be silent, to be quiet, And so those kind of elements have been passed down through intergenerational trauma. And now the younger generation is coming to terms with the ways in which we want to be able to be more outspoken and be creative and do the things that really serves our own identity.
The group practice that offers online therapy tackles other barriers that contribute to Asian Americans being the least likely group to seek mental health services.
A lot of first-generation immigrants have a really hard time finding mental health services because a lot of therapists just don't speak their language. And so we're able to provide about 15 different languages right now in Asian cultural languages.
Financial accessibility is another barrier which the collective addresses through a sliding scale, scholarships, and by accepting insurance.
Many of the private practices do not accept insurances, and then many of the community mental health services do not accept insurance actually, because they're serving the lowest of the SES class. And so then there's a huge gap in the middle where many of the Asian Americans are falling under, where they can't access care.
Although the collective works primarily with Asian Americans, all are welcome. And Yoon points out the color yellow in the name is not racialized.
I spent my first initial childhood in Korea where yellow was not racialized. And it was the color of the sun and moon, color of hope, resilience, and joy.
Yoon and Lee co-authored the recently released book, Where I Belong, Healing Trauma and Embracing Asian American Identity. For more information, visit yellowchaircollective.com. For Asian American Life, I'm Susan Jun.
When you hear the word Chinatown, what comes to mind? Well, besides the delicious cuisine, an organization called Think Chinatown wants you to consider the art, culture, and the people who make up this vibrant neighborhood. The Chinatown Night Market and the Chinatown Arts Festival are just two of many events that sprung out of Think Chinatown, a grassroots organization run by Asian American women bridging the past with the present. On display at Think Chinatown storefront at 1 Pike Street is part of the Asian American Arts Center's collection.
It focuses on the connection between folk arts and contemporary arts.
Yin Kong is Think Chinatown's co-founder. She says the organization fills a much-needed platform and venue for artists and stories from the community.
So our Think Chinatown's work intersects storytelling, art, and neighborhood engagement. We believe that listening to our neighbors is really an important first step.
I would want people to think of Chinatown, not just as a destination, but as a home, whether it's a home for the people who actually live here, or a cultural home for people who come and want to find a piece of something that they're looking for.
Rochelle Kwan is Think Chinatown's resident DJ and leads their storytelling project, collecting oral histories from the folks who live and work here, and then animated by local artists.
But the people who live here, the people who, sell our groceries, the people who run the tea store, the people who play music at the park, these are people that we get to see every day in the neighborhood and who make this neighborhood so special to me.
Storytelling and art as a way to organize community in Chinatown is not new, says Kong.
So much of organizing in Chinatown really roots back to those who were part of the Basement Workshop.
The Basement Workshop was a groundbreaking Asian American arts organization based in Chinatown in the 1970s that spawned organizations like Asian Americans for Equality, which owns the building Think Chinatown occupies, and the Asian American Arts Center, whose extensive art collection was given to Think Chinatown.
It's an amazing collection that has documented the birth of the Asian American movement. Art has informed contemporary art, And I would argue how this art that mainly happened in the 90s and the 80s have been informing Asian American artists of today.
Think Chinatown is planting its roots at this storefront. Renovations to the space are underway to accommodate their oral history projects, cooking demonstrations, performances, and art exhibitions.
But we also want to be that stronghold where people will understand that this corner is still part of Chinatown.
Amidst the luxury buildings going up,
one very important thing that I want this space to continue to be is a place to view the Asian American Arts Center collection.
Think Chinatown aims to be a cornerstone where we get to know and appreciate the folks who make up the neighborhood through art, stories, and food, so we too can feel like we belong.
I think that Chinatown has never just been for Chinese people. I don't think that Chinatown is only meant for people who live here. Before I lived here, Chinatown was my cultural home. This was a place where I was reminded not only of the food that I ate growing up, but actually my family and the people that I grew up around. And I would want people to be able to come here and be able to feel that sense of home too.
You can find out more about Think Chinatown's events at thinkchinatown.org. For Asian American Life, I'm Rainer Ramirez.
I'm Vivian Lee. Since 1934, New York's State Liquor Authority has governed every aspect of the alcohol industry in the Empire State. And for the first time in its 90-year history, it has a chairwoman, Lily Fan.
Our agency really is the referee of the alcohol industry. I think that I come with a fresh perspective of how things could change.
Some of Lily Fan's perspective comes from the world of film and theater production. Fan co-produced some headliners over the years.
Show it to me again! Oh my God!
I can't believe I gave the press the finger.
Weiner, about the meteoric fall from grace of former New York Congressman Anthony Weiner, won the Grand Jury Prize for Best Documentary at Sundance in 2016.
See, someone's gotta tell the tale, whether or not it turns out well.
And Hadestown, a blend of two Greek myths, won a Grammy and several Tonys, including Best Musical in 2019. Fan says producing on stage and screen is like the alcohol industry, multiple players juggling a variety of pressures and all with the same goal, creating something unique that will be in demand.
We have the farmers and the distillers, brewers, winery owners that are creating the products. And then there is the second tier of the distributors moving the products around. And then you have the retail tier who's selling the products in form of package stores, restaurants, clubs, etc.
And finally, millions of consumers in restaurants, at sporting events, theaters, and bars. The sheer size of New York's alcohol industry makes it one of a handful of states leading alcohol production and driving policy making across the country. Lily Fan became chair of the SLA after several years as a commissioner on the full board. She still serves as commissioner, approving liquor licenses, enforcing the state's liquor laws, and assigning penalties. At this online hearing of the full board, Fan responds to a bid to open a big box liquor superstore in an area that already has several smaller ones.
We're looking at whether there's demand for more alcohol, and the numbers are clearly showing no. So to propose a 10,000 square foot store, it's somewhat unreasonable. We constantly use our hearts at full board. That's really what the job is how are you really going to mediate the situation and help the businesses.
Fan's path to leading the SLA started with specializing in white-collar criminal litigation after she graduated from Yale. She then served as legal counsel to the Standing Committee on Social Services in the state Senate, and as a member and co-secretary on a Manhattan community board for several years. She credits her interest in civic matters to role models in Hong Kong, where she was born and raised before its handover by Britain to China.
I came from a colony where there was a figurehead who was a white man, but mostly everybody who was running agencies or running policies or the legislators were all of Chinese descent. And so I don't think I saw the glass ceiling that I think a lot of Asian Americans feel. We have 70,000 licensees. More than half of them, at least the ones that come to full board, are of immigrant background. So I really see myself as trying to help those people, and I think that I come with the heart and the dedication to that community that didn't exist before.
For Asian American Life, I'm Vivian Lee.
We hope you enjoyed our show. If you want to learn more about our stories, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Asian American Life. And be sure to tune in next month as we look at key issues impacting Asian American voters in the upcoming election. I'm Ernabelle DeMillo. Thank you so much for watching.